Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Real Time, where we talk about the movies we like.
And the ones we don't.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Molly.
Today, we're going to be getting into the Kingsman movies, all three of them so far.
Yep. It's a trilogy right now, yeah.
Based off of a comic book from a Marvel imprint, Kingsman is the story of Eggsy, a kid who gets, he gets a chance to be part of something bigger than himself when he gets recruited to join a super secret spy organization, the Kingsmen.
Yeah, he gets picked by one of the Kingsman agents to do a series of training things to see if he has what he takes.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this movie was directed by Matthew Vaughn, also known for being the director of other comic book-based movies like Kick-Ass and X-Men First Class. He's got a knack for the hyper-stylized, violent, slick-as-hell action movies that honestly don't get enough attention.
Yeah, pretty good ones.
This movie stars Taron Egerton as Gary Eggsy Unwin. He's he's from the projects. He lives in a crappy apartment with his mom and his mom's boyfriend. And, he's, you describe him.
He's had a rough life. I mean, his dad has died because he was training for Kingsman and died during the training. And his mom is dating this really crappy dude who's just no good. And like you said, he lives in a poor neighborhood. So he's just trying to live his life the best he can, trying to survive day by day.
Yeah, as I pointed out when we first saw where he lived, I said, looks like a really crappy place to live. And that apartment isn't so great either.
Yeah, you were proud of that one.
He gets recruited by Colin Firth's Harry Hart, or Galahad as he's known to his colleagues in the Kingsmen. A Kingsman agent whose life was saved by Eggsy's dad during a training mission. And he plays the mentor figure in this movie. Definitely a role that maybe you wouldn't really expect from Colin Firth, but I'm glad he took it nonetheless.
Yeah, he's a distinguished gentleman who's also a super secret agent. And yeah, he's the one who chooses Eggsy to be his sort of candidate for the whole training to find a new agent.
Joining him is Mark Strong's Merlin, basically the tech guy, the intelligence officer of the Kingsmen. He's very entertaining, as all Mark Strong characters are. An absolute joy to see him, and this time he gets to play the good guy. Merlin in the comics was one of the bad guys, but here he stays good the whole way through.
I guess his character turns bad in the comics or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad he was good in this one.
Okay. Our villain is played by Samuel L. Jackson. He plays Richmond Valentine, a climate change doomsayer who is trying to kill off most of the population of Earth just so that they can save the planet and replace them with, basically only the people he likes. It's kind of it's a really done to death villain plot, in all honesty. So I don't care for it, but the way he's implementing it is something new.
Yeah, how so?
Well, so Valentine is he's a tech mogul. Think of like an Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg type. All right, he's giving out these SIM cards that promise everyone free internet, Wi-Fi, unlimited data for life. Really nice guy. It's sort of a really cool thing for him to do. And these SIM cards are also programmed to send out a frequency that makes everyone go really violent and try to kill anyone around them.
Yeah, they just kind of go crazy, lose control, and just start killing.
So, his methods are of trying to wipe out most of the population of Earth are original. I'll give him that. But just the idea of doing it in general, it's been done to us so many times.
Yeah, I have seen it a lot.
Sophia Boutella plays Gazelle, his right-hand woman, who has prosthetic legs that allow her to, slice and dice up anyone that gets in their way. It's really cool.
Yeah, she's pretty cool, really tough. She can take... She can go up against a lot of people.
Sir Mike Cocaine plays Arthur, the head of the Kingsmen, and we later find out that he's in Valentine's pocket. Very upper class snob who looks down on Eggsy since he's from the lower class. Kind of a douchey thing to do, really.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't happy that Harry chose
one
Eggsy.
Of the poors.
Yeah, to be his candidate.
We get Charlie and Roxy, two of the other main Kingsman candidates, played by Edward Holcroft and Sophie Cookson. They both appear in the sequel as well, where, Roxy doesn't get too much to do in there, but Charlie gets a bit more of an elevated role, but we'll get to that later. Charlie's, he's much the same as Arthur. He's an upper-class snob who looks down on the poors, as he would call them.
Yeah, he's definitely a jerk.
Yep, but, he's still not as hateable as Eggsy's, not really stepdad, but mom's boyfriend, Dean, played by Jeff Bell. This guy, you absolutely hate this guy. He's just an absolute, there's no way to get around it, douchebag.
Yeah, he's very mean. A big jerk. He beats his girlfriend. He beats his girlfriend's son.
The one nice thing he does throughout the whole movie is give Eggsy some more money so he can get out of the way so that they can bang. But still, he's such a douchey, slimy character that you're glad when Eggsy finally beats him up at the end.
Yeah, that's always nice to see.
Which means the actor did a wonderful job. Hats off to this guy. He made this guy really hateable. Just fantastic job.
Yeah, he's very hateable. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure you saw this movie before I did. Just gonna guess, based off of you probably saw this in the theaters with your parents.
No, I didn't see this one in the theaters. I saw the other one though. I saw it on TV one day. We decided to sit down and watch it.
Yeah, I think I might have rented this from like a family video or something back when that was still a thing. If that tells you how long ago that was.
Yeah. You were one of the few people going to family video when no one else was.
Well, you know what? Someone had to keep that dying business alive, and doggone it, it'll be me.
Yeah, you tried for as long as you could.
I did, but pandemic probably didn't help matters either. And the fact that, who rents movies when you can just stream stuff? Yeah. Philistines.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry that that happened.
Yeah, Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, Family Video, other places that you rent movies from, all gone, all because of streaming. Netflix killed Blockbuster, but we're not on that topic right now. We are talking about Kingsman. It is an absolute blast from start to end. I also said start to beginning. That would be stupid.
Yes, that would be very redundant.
Yeah, so a lot of the praise that this movie got was for its action. It was really stylized, really creative with the choreography, really frenetic with its camera work, and that you can obviously tell that this is a very stressful environment for all involved. You could tell that it's a serious fight that they're going through, but you can also see everything clearly.
Yeah, the action in this movie is great. It's so fun to watch. It's definitely what made me interested in watching this movie in the first place.
Yeah, our first really great action scene takes place in this bar called the Black Prince, which, side note, I only trust one prince, and he was black and from Minnesota.
Yes.
And he dunked on Charlie Murphy in basketball. Point is, this was the first of our really great action scenes, and do they deliver? We get a whole bunch of great ones later on, but the best, in my opinion, takes place at the Dollar Store Westboro Baptist Church headquarters, about halfway through the movie.
Oh yeah, that's the scene you think of whenever you think of this movie.
Yeah. So, what Matthew Vaughn did was he literally Googled longest guitar solos and found Freebird. Fair enough.
Yeah, and said, "I'm gonna make a fight scene that uses this whole guitar solo."
Now, originally he was actually going to use the guitar solo from November Rain, but I don't think I think it wasn't long enough, and I also don't think that it would have really fit the tone of the scene. Really, this scene is supposed to be, I feel like the tone of the scene is supposed to be, really fun, but also maybe you're supposed to feel like you're having fun throughout the scene, so that at the end, when the song's dying down, you realize, oh no, this was actually kind of horrifying, that all of these people were forced to kill each other, and Harry just, for lack of a better words, he went absolutely ham on these, hateful bigots, so I really don't care what happens to them.
Yeah, it's crazy, but also, yeah, like you said, this is like a crazy massacre, but it's also so fun and so mesmerizing. You just can't pull your eyes from the screen.
Yeah, we just watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Whenever that video's coming out, maybe before this or after this, I don't know. But we talked a lot about the ending scene where Cliff Booth goes absolute ham on these Manson family members, and it gives me the same sort of feeling as that scene. Just absolute joy at seeing these, absolute despicable people get massacred. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is very fun.
So throughout the movie, Eggsy is going through this Kingsman selection process. We get a good indication of the time progression with a couple ways. Eggsy's hair grows a little back as the movie goes on. His dog grows up, and we see Harry's beard come in too.
Yeah. So there are different ways to show that time has progressed.
And at the start of their training, they get hit with a pretty big. They get hit with a pretty big reality check when one of the group supposedly dies, to show that, there aren't really any that show that anything can happen during this training, and that it's really serious stuff. Proceed at your own risk.
Yeah, they realize that this is something very serious, and it should not be taken lightly. This isn't just a army training thing. This is this is something crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And although later on we see that things weren't as dangerous as they were led to believe. For instance, Harry reveals that woman who supposedly died in the beginning was a plant from their intelligence sector in Berlin, she was never in any real danger, and she didn't die during. What are you smiling at, sweetie? Sorry, our kid was just smiling at me, and I thought it was really cute.
She is very distracting.
Where was I? Oh yeah. At one point, they jump out of a plane, and they're having a good time. They're laughing, spinning around, flying downwards, which is also called falling. When they get asked by Merlin, "What are you gonna do if one of you isn't wearing a parachute?" And naturally, they all think, "Oh man, one of us doesn't have a parachute." So they do their best to land. They got to land on this Kingsman symbol that's on the lawn. And it gets to the point where Eggsy and Roxy are pulling their chute at around 300 feet, which, they just walk that off at the end, which is which definitely would not happen if you're falling from as far up as you were, but
Oh well, it's a movie, it's okay.
And Eggsy gets kind of pissed off because he had pulled Roxy's chute, so he naturally assumed that he was the one who didn't have a chute, and he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder because he's getting made fun of by everyone for being one of the poors, and he tries to have it out with Merlin, who basically tells him, "Hey, chill," and shows him that he did have a chute.
Yeah, so really he was one of the more considerate agents because he chose to go last. He chose to be the one who, he put himself at the most risk there.
Yeah, and strictly speaking, Merlin didn't say, "Hey, one of you doesn't have a parachute." He says, "What would you do if one of you doesn't have a parachute?" You gotta remember the wording.
Yep. So yeah, everyone did have a parachute.
Then this next test that they do, they have to basically seduce a target, a lady in a bar. All three of the remaining Kingsman candidates gets the same target. So I guess sometimes you gotta take one for the team.
Mm-hmm. You gotta fight against each other to get to the goal. I don't know.
Well, I mean, Roxy had the same target, so assuming she's straight, she would still have to possibly seduce a female target if it came to it.
Yes, yeah, all right, I see what you're saying.
But then the real test begins. They get kidnapped by a creepy guy played by Richard Brake, and he's trying to get any info out of them to see if they would squeal about Kingsman. And Roxy and Eggsy don't, but Charlie does, just like that. He squeals like Tekashi 6ix9ine.
I'll pretend I know that reference. But yeah, Charlie, he gives in, and he does not move on. It's just down to Eggsy and Roxy then.
Yeah. Then they get told they have to shoot their dog, which honestly I kind of called that from the moment I saw that they were getting dogs. It's like, okay, they're gonna have to shoot their dog at some point, aren't they? Yeah, I've seen this movie before.
Yeah, especially since we see that Eggsy has a soft spot for animals because he didn't run over the fox. Is that what it was, or a cat?
Yeah.
The fox at the car chase scene.
Yeah, after he stole. I'm American. I say American words.
Yes.
After he stole one of Dean's friend's cars because his friend's he's a douchebag like Dean.
Yeah. So yeah, Eggsy definitely does not shoot his dog.
And he gets later told that there were blanks in the gun, which that wouldn't have really helped his dog too much because it's a very small animal. He's got a pug, and from that shorter range, the blank still would have gone off with lethal force. So he still would have killed his dog.
I don't know how blanks work, but Harry's dog was small too. It was a little terrier.
Yeah, well, Harry probably anticipated that it was a blank and either backed up or didn't shoot to kill.
I'm saying it's just a movie, and they probably did not expect anybody to look that far into it.
You're right, but I am.
I know you are.
Which he turns the gun on Arthur too, which that definitely would have killed him at that range too. Like, blanks are still lethal things if you mess around with them.
Yeah, I know that blanks can kill you, but I never really know what I don't really know what they are. So I don't really know how they work, I guess. But it's fine.
Basically, what a blank is it has all the gunpowder and the primer of a real bullet, but it doesn't have an actual bullet to shoot you with. But it can kill you by the gases that are being expelled from it at a really high speed.
Okay. Yeah, so you still definitely do not want to be very close.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. How I'm sure you probably don't even know this off the top of your head, but like how far away do you have to be safe? It's okay if you don't know and we can just move on. But.
Off the top, I'd say if you're holding it up to your head and playing like Russian roulette with a gun that has a blank in it, you're definitely going to die. But if you're, I don't know, across the room from someone, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay, I was just curious. I really don't know how they worked, so.
Yeah, all right. But yeah, you really get with this training, they want to give you the impression that it's dangerous work, which it's spy business. Of course, it's going to be dangerous, but they're not going to risk your life in training.
Yeah, as we find out after Eggsy fails, he was never in any real danger. That one girl, the plant, didn't really die. The dog would have been fine. Everything would have worked out.
Which they probably changed that after Eggsy's dad died in training, to be honest.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Okay. So, you want to know why Colin Firth signed up to do this movie?
Why?
He'd always wanted to play a James Bond-like spy.
Yeah, this is it.
Okay. So, when they did the scene in when they flooded the barracks room, it kind of went wrong.
How so?
Well, originally they were going to fill up a bit at a time to really make things safe, so that nothing bad happened. Like if they were going to do it the safe way and fill the room up a bit at a time.
Okay.
But what happened was something went wrong, and all that water came rushing in at once.
That doesn't sound good.
So the actors' reactions were real. They all just had to wait for Taron Egerton to break the glass.
Oh, wow. I didn't know he really... I didn't know how real that scene was.
Well, I don't think it was like actual glass. I think it was just like Hollywood glass, which is meant to break apart into pieces that aren't going to shatter and hurt anyone. So, but still, that's a lot of faith to put in someone to do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
One cast member I forgot to mention was Mark Hamill playing the character of Professor James Arnold. Now, bit of funny trivia about this. In the comics, Mark Hamill's character is, Mark Hamill. They just kidnapped the actor Mark Hamill in the comic.
That's funny. I'm sure that's probably why they got him to play the professor.
I would say so, yeah. And the villain of the comic was actually Professor Arnold.
Huh, all right.
So, kind of funny that they just did that. That's a weird coincidence and a very silly situation, but I like it.
Yeah, that's funny.
So this movie opened on Friday the 13th in February, the day before Valentine's Day.
Ah, and the main bad guy's name is Valentine.
So apparently Colin Firth did 80% of his own stunts, which, yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds like it. Mm-hmm.
This was a star-making role for both Sophia Boutella and Taron Egerton.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
After this, Sophia Boutella got to be in high-profile roles like Star Trek Beyond and The Mummy. One of these much better than the other.
Yeah.
And Taron Egerton, who later appeared in Eddie the Eagle, whose director cast him later on in Rocket Man, where he played Elton John and got a Golden Globe for the role.
Yeah. It seemed that, this helped him become a much bigger name.
So Valentine wasn't actually supposed to have a lisp. Samuel L. Jackson, he played him as if he had a lisp in his first scene, and Matthew Vaughn ended up liking it and incorporated it into the character.
Pretty interesting.
Which makes sense, given that James Bond villains end up having some sort of deformity or weird bodily thing about them, such as Francisco Scaramanga and the Man with the Golden Gun having 3 nipples, or Blofeld with his scar and blind eye.
3 nipples sounds a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
For a villain to have. I don't know why that's just funny.
Well, it was a Roger Moore era. It was a bit silly.
I wouldn't know.
The Kingsman's distinctive eyeglasses were just patterned after the pair that Matthew Vaughn wears. Michael Caine didn't realize this at first, and he thought it was just a shout out to his role as Harry Palmer.
Who's that?
It's just don't worry about it.
Okay, you don't want your listeners to know details?
Look, I don't know what Harry Palmer is. I'm just reading this off a page.
Okay, someone didn't do their research. That's okay.
Anyways, like I said, the church brawl is set to Lynyrd Skynyrd's Freebird because it was one of the first results that came up when Googling for long guitar solos.
Yep.
Aaron Taylor Johnson was offered the role of Eggsy before Taron Egerton was cast, but he turned it down due to scheduling conflicts with Godzilla. Funny thing about that, Johnson would eventually play a character in The King's Man, the prequel to this movie.
Oh, okay.
Also screen tested were John Boyega, Jack O'Connell, Daniel Kaluuya, and Jamie Campbell Bower.
All right, pretty cool.
I think of those, I would have liked to see John Boyega in the role. It definitely would have been a pretty cool thing for him to do pre-Star Wars.
Yeah.
Emma Watson and Bella Heathcote were considered for the role of Roxy before Sophia Cookson was cast.
All right. Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio, Idris Elba, and Tom Cruise were considered for the role of Richmond Valentine before Samuel L. Jackson was cast.
Nice.
Amy Purdy was originally cast as Gazelle before Sofia Boutella was cast, but dropped out so she wouldn't miss the Olympics.
Oh, okay. I was about to ask who that was. I guess she's an Olympian.
Which, funny thing about that, originally at one point, Oscar Pistorius was supposed to be in the role of Gazelle. Yeah, that's a bit awkward in hindsight, given the fact that he has actually killed someone in real life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Oscar Pistorius killed his girlfriend by accident, but still.
Oh, yeah. Kind of a, iffy situation.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that, but just it's very O.J. Simpson possibly cast as the Terminator, but didn't get the role kind of energy.
Yeah.
There were originally going to be more celebrities seen at, being held prisoner at Valentine's Base, including Lady Gaga and Elton John. Elton John, of course, would appear in the sequel, being held prisoner by the villain of that movie. I forgot her name.
Yeah, I will. I'll talk more about that whenever we go over that movie. But I absolutely love him in that movie.
What became the Kingsman for the movie was MI6 in the comics, and when originally pitched to Marvel, the agency was S.H.I.E.L.D. So, imagine if this movie tied into the bigger Marvel Cinematic Universe, like that'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, it definitely would be. Sorry, Mike.
Especially if Richmond Valentine and Nick Fury ever met, that'd be a weird situation.
Yeah, it would be.
there was originally going to be a flashback set in 1975, which would have used CGI to de-age Michael Caine, but Matthew Vaughn removed it because it turned the film's pacing sideways. I get it.
Yeah, that would be a little weird.
The church massacre scene was originally 7 minutes long with no cutaways to anyone watching it, but they cut it down because it was seen as really over the top and violent for even the people making the movie.
Yeah, that sounds kind of fun though.
Merlin was originally going to speak in a Welsh accent, but Mark Strong found it a bit too challenging, and he convinced Vaughn to let him use a Scottish accent instead.
Nice.
The Kingsmen were going to kill the dogs before it was rewritten to have them shoot blanks at them in order to avoid losing the audience.
Yeah, because I would be sad if they actually killed the dogs.
Vaughn has said that the president seen in the movie is not Obama. Come on.
It sure looks like him.
Yeah, it's a big-eared African-American gentleman that we only see from the back. It's 2015. Obama wasn't president at the time. It's Obama.
Yeah, it's sure. You could say it's not, but like, why else would you cast someone who looks like that?
Now, true, maybe I'm just blatantly going over the director's head and saying, oh no, that's not what you intended. That's Obama. Fair enough. Moving on.
Yeah. We could just move on.
So the man that Valentine calls during the third act about satellites, when one of his gets destroyed, the one he calls E, is supposed to be Elon Musk.
Yeah, you guessed that. Yeah, during the movie.
Well, yeah. What other eccentric billionaire is doing space stuff? Come on, besides Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, whose name starts with E. That's definitely gonna be Elon.
Yeah. And this was back when he was actually, well, more respected now. Now he's well, honestly, I don't really have too much of an opinion about Elon Musk, to be honest. I don't hate him, I don't love him. He's a little interesting, bit weird, kind of cringe at times, but he doesn't really affect my life, so I don't care.
Yeah. I don't even remember what we were talking about.
Kingsman.
Well, yes, but what specifically?
Oh, that was that. Just
that. All right.
Now, just probably a spoiler alert for the rest of the list. This is both of our favorite movies in the trilogy so far. The other two... Oh, wait, is it not yours?
No, and I thought you knew this.
Okay, I'm a sassy.
You're putting words in my mouth. You know I like the second one better.
All right.
Yeah, I do.
Anyways, this is my favorite of the trilogy. I feel like the story is stronger in this one. The action is... well, honestly, the action does get better in the second movie. I will say that. It gets a lot more creative. But, I like the set pieces. I like the... not necessarily the villain's plan, but his methods. The villain himself is decently fun. He's a likable enough guy. I definitely like him a whole lot more than some other probably technically not as evil characters like Dean or Mr. Fred Phelps at the dollar store Westboro Baptist Church, who are but thing that Valentine has over those guys is charisma, which he's got to be in order to get all these people on board with his plan to kill millions of people.
Yeah.
He's a lot more personable. You could tell that, some of the parts of his, job he doesn't really like doing, like when he actually has to shoot Harry and supposedly kill him, which we see in the sequel that he doesn't die, but yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't like violence.
But I guess his logic is that he didn't kill all those people; they killed each other after he made them do it.
So he indirectly killed everybody.
I don't know. Point is, Valentine is he's a good villain. His plan is but honestly, he's a pretty fun guy.
Yeah, he is.
Now, next we have Kingsman: The Golden Circle, your favorite in the trilogy. So let's get to it.
All right, let's watch it.
Kingsman: The Golden Circle was the 2017 sequel to the 2014 movie Kingsman, or was it 2015? It doesn't matter. Anyways, this movie has been widely considered to be a step down from the original. It's been considered inferior to it. It's been called a bad movie. 2 out of 3 of that is correct, I would say. But you said that this is your favorite in the trilogy so far.
Yeah, I think so, maybe.
Okay. Care to elaborate?
Sure. I like it because I feel like there's even more action than the last movie. Everything has stepped up, and it also mixes, I think, a little bit more humor in. Also, I think I am a little bit biased because this is the first movie I saw after our local theater got a makeover and new seats, and I just had a fun time watching this in theaters, so I think there's a little bit of, personal bias towards it as well. But yeah, I think the only thing that I didn't like about it was how everyone dies at the beginning.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Yeah, but I mean, it happens at right the beginning, so yeah, so that's kind of that was kind of disappointing, but I still had lots of fun.
Yeah, so I saw this movie at the theater as well. I was living with my friend Alex. He had a guy over, so I had to make myself scarce, so to speak. So I went over to the local movie theater. Well, one of them, there was 2 in the town that we lived in. There still is, but there was back then too. And I went to go see this movie because I liked the first one, and I thought, this looks fun. And yeah, I had a fun time. I didn't like it as much as the first one. I feel like the story could have been a bit stronger. The villain's plot was definitely a lot weaker. Well, her plan was a lot weaker than Valentine's was in the original movie. So, yeah, those are just some of the aspects that I didn't that make this an inferior movie to me, but still a fun time overall.
Yeah, I think it's a very fun time. I don't know. I mean, I don't really look around people talking about movies. So, but I've never heard anybody say they didn't like this movie.
Well, let's get into this cast. We are joined once again by Taron Egerton's Eggsy. Since the end of the first movie, he's taken over the position of Galahad from Colin Firth's Harry Hart. And he is greeted once again by his rival from the last movie, Charlie, played by Edward Holcroft, who is now working for our big bad from this movie, Poppy Adams, played by Julianne Moore, an international drug cartel leader who wants to make her business legitimate in the eyes of the world. So she decides that she's going to poison her entire drug supply to blackmail the leaders of the world into giving her legitimacy as a businesswoman, to decriminalize all drugs so that she can sell drugs legally. And look, this villain's plan is really stupid. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, it definitely has its flaws.
It's all flaws, okay? She's poisoning her supply of drugs, and she said that she's making over $200 billion in profit per year. That's quite a bit of people buying drugs from her. So she's going to poison all of them just so that she can force the world leaders into making her legitimate? That doesn't seem like that'll create repeat business.
Yeah, it does seem like she would take quite a hit on sales.
Now, granted, yes, some people who are addicted to drugs, they're addicted, so they're probably gonna, more or less forgive her and keep buying drugs anyways. So, yeah, she'll still have buyers, but I would feel like a lot of her business would go away basically overnight if she managed to get what she wanted to push through.
Well, did it ever say if she poisoned all of her drug supply, or was it just a little?
She said anyone who takes these specific drugs is going to be poisoned.
Okay, I just thought it was the ones she had.
Well, anyways, yeah, this isn't a great plan. I don't see this working well for her.
No, well, as we find out, it doesn't.
Yeah. Anyways, we are also joined again by Mark Strong's Merlin, the IT guy of the Kingsmen. And after the first act, where the whole Kingsman group gets, well, bumped off by Poppy and Charlie, aside from Eggsy and Merlin, they're the only ones left.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. I really didn't like this part. Because, I don't know. It's just, we got to know these characters in the first movie, and now they're dead.
Yeah, it really sucks. But then again, really the only one that we actually knew from the first movie was Roxy. The Arthur in this movie is not the same as the one from the first movie, and all the other random Kingsman agents we don't really know. So I guess it's not too much of a loss on the whole. But also, Eggsy's dog JB gets exploded by missiles too.
Yeah, so it's pretty sad.
Though it is kind of funny how they just blatantly blow up the dog. Like, oh, they are doing this in the movie. That's kind of wild.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't just the dog. It was, Eggsy's house.
Still kind of funny.
Yeah, like they weren't going after JB. It was,
yeah, duh.
Okay.
Also, Eggsy's friend Brandon died in this scene too, which it was just his birthday, so poor guy.
Yeah. Died the day after his birthday.
So, after this happens, they have to go to the U.S. to find the Statesman, a U.S.-based independent intelligence agency like the Kingsmen, although they've gone in a different direction when it comes to their, funding. The Kingsmen, of course, they receive their funding from their tailor shop, which I'd imagine brings them in a pretty penny. Suits typically cost quite a bit. I remember when I had to get my suit for my wedding, it cost me around $200. Now, I'm going to imagine that this is going to be a more higher-end suit, so maybe double that figure.
Yeah. $400 to like $800 maybe.
Maybe. But also, as we see, the Statesmen, they're a bit more well off, which makes sense. How often do you buy alcohol versus how often do you buy a suit? I can name you only one time in the last 5 years where I ever bought a suit, and it was again for my wedding. Now, the amount of alcohol I've bought in the last 5 years, let's not talk about that because it's too much.
Yeah. You're right. You got a point.
Now, the Statesman agents they meet are, of course, Agent Tequila, played by Channing Tatum, and Ginger Ale, played by Halle Berry. As opposed to the Kingsman's routine of naming their agents after King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, they're naming them all after alcohol. This is America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a not a brewery, distillery. I don't know.
Distillery.
Yeah. So it makes sense.
Yeah. Here they also find out that Harry's alive after he got shot in the head by Valentine in the middle of the last movie. Now, they get around this by they have this weird science fiction nanomachine, son. Okay? It's called Alpha Gel. They basically put it around your head. It fills in the hole. And nanomachine, son, basically piece your brain together.
Yeah. So after the church attack in the last movie, they were able to get there in time to save Harry.
Yeah, it's kind of a Deus Ex Machina, but you know what? Yeah, whatever. It, science fiction, hand wavy ass pull stuff like this, I'm fine with just go with it. Basically, just go with it.
Yeah.
They're also joined by the leader of the Statesmen's, Champagne, played by Jeff Bridges, who is. I love Jeff Bridges. He is always fun to see in things, and this is another one of his just great cozy roles. He's basically the dude, but he knows how to dress.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which I just realized that Julianne Moore was also in The Big Lebowski, so that's nice.
Yeah, she was.
We're also introduced to Agent Whiskey, played by Pedro Pascal, in one of his earlier roles before he struck it big on The Mandalorian and The Last of Us.
Yeah, I think this was the first thing I've seen him in.
And those are really most of our main players. I mean, we also have the U.S. president in this movie, played by Bruce Greenwood, and his chief of staff, Fox, played by Emily Watson. They're always nice character actors to see, and also provide for a little bit of social commentary too, given that the president is intent on basically letting all the, as he calls them, junkie scum die. You know, we can see by his red tie and his southern drawl that he's a Republican. So this movie's commentary on the Republicans' war on drugs that has been in place since the Nixon administration, which former Nixon staffers have admitted that the war on drugs was Nixon's way of persecuting black activists during the civil rights movement. So there's that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which the president is so intent on letting all the junkie scum die, but he's also drinking. Now this comes into play at other places too, when we discovered that Tequila had been using drugs recreationally, and when he gets the cure and gets brought out of carbonite, as it were, he gets told by Ginger Ale that he should just stick to booze. Even though, of course, alcohol is an incredibly addictive substance as well. Now, granted, it's not as immediately dangerous as drug use, but still, quite a few people die from alcohol-related incidents and alcohol poisoning every year.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a problem.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not here to make any sort of statement, so let's just move past this.
Okay, let's move on.
Where are my notes? There they are. Okay. So at the end of the first movie, Eggsy, well, to put it bluntly, he meets a princess at Valentine's fortress, and she tells him that, in not so undelicate terms, that if he saves the world, then he could put it in her butt.
Yep, that's pretty much.
And we see he saves the world, and mission accomplished, you know? But what's interesting is that at the start of this movie, he's actually dating her, you know? This kind of takes the whorish nature of James Bond and says, nah, I like this girl. I'm going to stay with her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of interesting. And Tildy's a nice enough character. She's friends with all of Eggsy's friends. They're able to tease each other, sort of, just have fun with each other, just as normal people. So, yeah, I'm fine with this.
Yeah, she seems nice because, yeah, like you said, she hangs out with Eggsy's friends and she knows how to, be sociable in those circles.
Yeah, so that's nice. And later on in the movie, when Eggsy is trying to put a tracking device in a target in a unconventional way, he tells her, hey, I'm probably going to have to sleep with this chick. I just want to let you know. And, it's kind of, on the one hand, it's kind of, it shows Eggsy's integrity that he's willing to tell his girlfriend that he needs to do this. But it's also like, but do you really need to tell her? Like, you don't end up sleeping with her anyways. You just stick your finger up there, put the tracking device in her. So it's like, you you get out of there as soon as you can. You don't do anything more than you needed to for the mission anyway. So, did you really need to tell her and cause any sort of undue stress for her?
Yeah, I guess not. But she did say, if they were engaged, she would be fine with it.
Which I'm not sure why Eggsy had a problem with them being engaged. I mean,
He didn't want to be a prince, remember?
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, like, I don't really get the trope of guys in media just not wanting to get married for whatever reason.
Anyways, he learns from his mistakes.
Yes, he does. And at the end of the movie, they do get married. We also get an interesting, like I said, another interesting development with Eggsy's rival from the first movie, Charlie. This provides a sort of an arch enemy for Eggsy. He and Valentine were never really. It was never really personal between them. Valentine has this plan where he's gonna, kill most of the world so that they can save it, but it's not really anything too personal between him and Eggsy. And same thing with Eggsy and with Poppy. But with Charlie, this gives Eggsy the chance to have an actual personal stake in this mission, because not only do they have to save the world, but he also has to stop the person who he really hates, who has been putting him down for being one of the poors since he met him.
Yeah. And, now he also needs to get vengeance for JB and Roxy and all of Kingsman.
Yeah. Although, to be honest, it doesn't really make sense that how Eggsy made it so that Charlie's arm blew up and not his head when he got the chip in his head to explode. That was kind of silly, but whatever.
The electric shock kind of made it, disrupted it, and it got dislodged, is what I thought.
Yeah, but is it really going to dislodge from his neck down to his arm?
Well, I thought it maybe even fell out. Like the way he was laying, it got on his arm. I don't know.
Actually, that is a good point. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, see? I told you.
See, Molly knows what she's doing. That's why I married her.
Yeah, I know everything.
Okay. Okay. Now, it can be kind of a cheap move to bring Harry back. I've seen some people say that. However, I feel like Harry and Eggsy's relationship in the first movie was basically the heart of the movie, really. You got this mentor figure looking after this troubled youth who he owes since this kid's dad saved his life. It makes for a really, really nice relationship between these two. I like to see them do things. So, I don't mind that they brought him back.
Yeah, I don't mind it either. And yeah, because of the reasons you said, their relationship is really good. And yeah, I wanted to see more.
Now, does it rob this movie of stakes? A little bit, but yeah, a little bit. Since they do have this technology that could just automatically save you if you get shot in the face, but I don't know.
Well, but then, people aren't getting shot in the face. They're getting exploded now, so.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of which, so throughout the movie, we've heard little bits of the John Denver song, Country Roads. Like in the very start of the movie, we hear it on the bagpipes. That's kind of nice, Then later on, Merlin, while absolutely sloshed, starts singing it because John Denver's he's his favorite singer. Good choice. And we get a few more instrumental versions of it. And then later on, after Eggsy, the dumbass, steps on a landmine, you had the mine detector in your hand. You couldn't detect it right in front of you. Anyways. And Merlin uses this cold spray to freeze the trigger so that he could push Eggsy off of it, which, to be fair, is how some bomb disposal units take care of bombs. They freeze them because it freezes up the circuits and all that, and basically renders them useless.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Which, this scene is also, oddly enough, kind of similar to a scene from another superhero, well, comic book thing earlier that year in 2017. In around May of 2017, the season 5 finale of Arrow on the CW featured the whole cast going to this island where Oliver Queen was for 5 years. Like yada yada yada. Point is, there's this character on the show, Malcolm Merlyn, who his daughter steps on a landmine as they're being pursued by some of the bad guys. So what he does is he takes her place on the landmine. He pushes her off quickly enough so that he can put his foot on the landmine, and then when the bad guys surround him, he steps off it and blows them all up. Now, what happens in this movie?
Yeah, kind of weird that they're pretty similar, or basically the same thing.
And both of their names are Merlin.
It's kind of a weird coincidence, unless it's not a coincidence.
You heard it here, folks. Fox plagiarized from the CW of all places.
Yeah, of everything you can plagiarize from, and they chose the CW.
I don't know. Maybe they figured no one watches Arrow.
Yeah.
They did just come off of 2 crappy seasons to a really good one, so maybe they figured, no one's paying attention.
Maybe.
I paid attention.
I know you did.
Anyway, so this is a really sad scene because Merlin is, in all honesty, the best character in all of these movies. I don't care what anyone says. It's Merlin. He is absolutely perfect. I love him. And I think he should stay dead, honestly.
Yeah, he is probably my favorite character. But yeah, it's better off. I mean, yeah, I don't think they're going to bring Merlin back.
Well, they originally were going to.
Oh, how are they going to do that?
They were going to show him at at Eggsy's wedding at the end with robot legs.
That would have been cool. I think I probably would have been okay with that.
Which, honestly, the suits that they're wearing are all bulletproof, so maybe it could have worked.
Maybe. I don't know.
But I still feel like that death should have some meaning in these movies, you know? There should be some stakes. And as much as I would love to see Merlin back, I'm fine with him staying dead.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, because if we bring back everybody who dies, yeah, it's like it wouldn't seem, the stakes wouldn't seem real. It wouldn't seem like anything could go wrong.
Okay. Okay. Jeez, I went over all my notes, like not even in order, so that's neat.
Look at you getting stuff done.
Now, would you like to know some trivia about this movie?
Sure.
Okay, so Channing Tatum signed on to do this movie because he liked the first one.
Yeah, all right.
You know what? Fair enough. A lot of people, this happens with a lot of, sequels. You get people who, because you got to remember, famous people see movies too. Duh, they're in them sometimes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So sometimes they're like, hey, I want to do that too.
Yeah, I like that movie. I want to be in it.
This movie is actually banned in Cambodia due to portraying the country as a haven for bad guys.
Yeah, I guess they are staked out in Cambodia.
Which, I mean, they're not really saying that the Cambodian government is sanctioning this. It just says, oh, yeah, they're in Cambodia. Okay.
Yeah, that just happens to be where they're hiding.
But, funnily enough, the title of the movie, The Golden Circle, was originally supposed to be The Golden Triangle due to basically a ring of drug smuggling and all sorts of other illicit activities in the Southeast Asian environment, including Cambodia.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So the trailers for this movie kind of ruined the surprise that Harry was coming back. That was a weird thing. Like, why would you ruin that?
Yeah, that seems odd. I don't remember seeing trailers for it, but yeah, that seems weird. Why would you put Harry in the trailer? That seems like a weird choice, yeah.
Okay. Mm. Uh, so Matthew Vaughn cast Pedro Pascal as Whiskey, based on his performance in Narcos as real life drug enforcement DEA agent Javier Pena.
Okay. Yeah, I have not seen that.
I haven't either, but it seems like an interesting show to watch.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
Uh, so actor Vinnie Jones was supposed to be in this movie as another henchman to Poppy, but he was completely cut out of the movie. Some of you may know him best as his role in X-Men: The Last Stand as the Juggernaut. Yeah, I know that's a weird way to go with this, but hey, Matthew Vaughn had directed an X-Men movie at this point, so I'm sticking with the theme.
Yeah, I still don't know who that is.
It's okay.
All right.
Now, the King of Sweden was going to have a larger role in the third movie, but his actor Bjorn Granith died during production, so that really put a fork in that idea.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, now the reason why Merlin didn't survive was because the test audiences thought it felt cheap.
Yeah, I could see that.
So, remember the scene where Harry is trying to speak Italian in the movie to the control room guy?
Yes.
Well, Colin Firth actually knows Italian.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't surprise me.
He learned it to impress his Italian ex-wife, to whom he was married at the time of this movie's shooting, as well as her family. But according to Firth, he's not great at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still better than my Italian, so that's okay.
Yeah. Mine too.
Okay, so before deciding to bring back Harry for the sequel, Matthew Vaughn said that he toyed with the idea of Harry having an evil twin.
Okay. Yeah.
There was originally going to be mentions of the 2016 presidential election, but they removed it because it was a bit too soon.
Yeah, I could see that.
Eventually, well, no, not eventually. At one point, the president they were using in the movie was going to be a bit more of a blatant Trump comparison, but maybe they figured that they made the president in the first movie a bit too Obama-y, so they decided, you know what, let's just make him stock Republican.
Yeah, the president in the first one was obviously Obama, even though they said it wasn't.
Tequila was going to have a bigger role in the story, but due to scheduling conflicts with Channing Tatum working on Logan Lucky, his role was reduced and a lot of his scenes went to Whiskey.
Okay.
According to Vaughn, Fox considered splitting the movie into two movies due to its original runtime being 3 hours and 40 minutes, before he decided to cut 80 minutes of the movie, although he has said that he wants to release the longer cut in the future.
Yeah, could be cool.
Which I would like to see. There's a whole 80 minutes that we could have seen that could have strengthened the villain's plan, whatever. Maybe would have made this messy plan seem like it was actually good. I don't know, but more time with these characters would always be nice.
Yep, I think so.
Now, what's next for Kingsman? Well, we have the prequel that we're going to be getting into next. But as for Kingsman 3, I don't know. Let me just take a look. Actually, no, we'll save that for later, for the conclusion for The Kingsman.
Okay, sounds good.
So, unless you have anything more to say on Kingsman: The Golden Circle?
No, I don't think so.
Me neither. So, let's get into the prequel, The Kingsman.
All right.
Now, here we are in our final leg of our Kingsman journey. Hopefully, not the final one. I hope we get to see something else in the future. But until then, this is our last movie.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens.
Now, this isn't really Kingsman 3. This is more Kingsman, well, a Kingsman prequel showing the origins of the organization that these movies are named after. This takes place before, during, and after the First World War, in which we see the Duke of Oxford, played by Ray Fiennes, well, more or less found the organization.
Yeah, so we're doing something quite different than the first two movies.
Yeah, and I feel like this is a decent enough prequel. It's no Red Dead Redemption 2 or anything, but it does the job fine enough.
Yeah, I guess so.
Also starring in this movie is Ijman Hansu as Shola, the Duke's manservant, right-hand man. It's kind of unclear, bodyguard, sort of. He's a jack of all trades, though. He's a very talented man.
Yeah, he's the Kingsman's original Merlin.
Yes. Charles Dance plays General Kitchener, a real-life figure in World War One. He's shown being the Duke's, well, one of his friends, who he decides to help after Kitchener is, well, for lack of a better word, blowed up.
Does his real-life counterpart die in the same way?
Well, let's take a look. General Kitchener. Well, as in real life, as with the movie, he was very concerned with the situation ongoing in Russia with the public unrest, the public unrest at Tsar Nicholas's incompetency, as it were, and the rise of left-wing radicals such as Bolshevism, so that would stifle the British war effort, and he was lost at sea. Now, he probably wasn't murdered by a secret cabal of conspiracy people that we know of, but it's close enough.
Yeah, I mean, he did die at sea, so who knows? Maybe he did get blown up.
Matthew Good plays his aide, Lieutenant Morton, and spoiler alert, because why not? It's decently easy to guess this, but Morton is actually the bad guy of this movie. He's playing this Scottish guy who's pissed off at England for taking away his family's land and all that. So are we sure he's really the bad guy?
Well, he doesn't make the goodest decisions.
Okay. I don't even feel like correcting your grammar right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. He does start an entire world war. So, still the bad guy.
Yeah. He is the bad guy. And, yeah, like you said, I thought it was pretty easy to guess that he was going to be the big bad villain that doesn't show his face until, the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Harris Dickinson plays the Duke's son, Conrad, and he wants to join the army so that he can help with the war effort, but his dad won't let him because of a promise he made to his mom to protect him. And throughout most of the movie, he's underage, evidently. I guess in those days you couldn't join the army if you were 18. You had to wait till you're 19. Whatever. Which is also weird to me because this kid looks like he's like 25 throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, he looks much older than 19.
Which I looked at his page on IMDb, and yeah, he was 25 when this movie came out, so I'm spot on.
Yeah, you were right.
I don't know. He's an interesting-ish character. I'm not gonna say he's, like an Eggsy or anything. He has these moments where he's just Well, he acts his age a lot. He thinks he knows better than his father. He wants to go off and prove himself, but he finds out that yeah, his dad was right about everything basically.
Yeah. Yeah, his dad knew he did not want to go to war. So yeah, listen to your dad, I guess.
Gemma Arterton plays Polly, the Duke's. Well, it's kind of unclear. She's a maid of some sort, but she's also the leader of his spy network. So that proves that the Duke is one of the few people back then who wasn't enormously racist and sexist. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's good to not be those things. Yes.
Yeah, she and Shola have this sort of secret cabal of servants acting as spies for them, who work in various palaces, embassies, the White House too, all over the world basically, who feed them information because who notices the help?
Yeah, the smart move because yeah, the maids and the butlers, they can go everywhere and eavesdrop whenever.
Yeah, back then no one really cared about the help. They were just beneath them, especially the women folk, because people were sexist back then. I say that like that's not still a thing.
Yeah. But yeah, it turns out that yeah, using the help to find out information is a really good idea.
It's a really good help.
Ha 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 ha. So funny.
Not really. It's okay. You don't have to laugh.
Okay, good. That was a fake laugh.
Okay. Rhys Ifans plays Grigory Rasputin in this movie, and this came out the same year as Spider-Man No Way Home, where he played another equally disgusting, villainous creature, the Lizard. But I was much more scared of him here than I was with that movie.
Yeah, I don't even remember the Lizard doing a whole lot in Spider-Man.
It's okay. Willem Dafoe took most of the screen time, so it's fine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I feel like Rhys Ifans plays him very well. He's very uncomfortable, which Rasputin was. Well, I don't know anything. I don't know the man personally, believe it or not. But from what I have read about him, that seems pretty spot on to his character.
Yeah, sure.
Daniel Bruhl plays Eric Hannessen, a German diplomat who, well, he's an advisor to the Kaiser. And if I had a nickel for every time Daniel Bruhl plays a character in a movie about a world war, I'd have I don't know how many nickels. It's a lot at this point. You got Inglourious Bastards. You got All Quiet on the Western Front. You got Joy and Noel. You got this. I'm sure there's more that I'm not that I can't remember right now, but there's a lot.
Yeah, he's just the guy you get to play
Germans.
A German, yeah, in World War One or Two.
Daniel Bruhl's character, along with Rasputin, are part of this flock led by the shepherd, Lieutenant Morton. They're just trying to stir the pot, do some bad things. They also have Gavrila Princip, the real-life killer of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. That's kind of a weird addition, but you know what? Whatever.
Yeah, sure.
If you know anything about the actual murder of Franz Ferdinand and his wife, you're going to notice, that's not really how that goes. But you know what? It's just go with it, man. It's fiction. We can make things up, I guess.
Yeah, this is a completely fictionalized story, so you can't expect everything to go exactly as it did in history.
But if you want to learn more about the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, then I'd check out Wendigoon's video on it. It's really fun.
I just remember learning a little bit about it in history class 12 years ago.
And if you want it to be funny, also go with Wendigoon. He makes it really funny.
All right.
Because believe it or not, up until the actual murder, it was kind of goofy.
I'll have to learn about it myself.
To give you the short version, you got guys try to jump into rivers to drown themselves, only to find that there is no water, and he just breaks his leg. And he's also puking on an expired cyanide capsule he tried to take to kill himself. But that didn't work because, he can't kill himself no matter how hard he tries.
That sounds goofy.
And at one point, one of the guys who tried to kill the Archduke just pussed out on it. He just couldn't do it.
Yeah. All right.
It's it's silly. Just go watch Wendigoon's video on it. He explains it much better than I did.
Yeah. All right. Keep going.
An interesting thing here. Tom Hollander plays not just King George of Britain, but also Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany and Tsar Nicholas of Russia. Kind of funny that the same guy plays all three characters, but there's a reason why. These three figures in history were cousins, and they all looked pretty similar.
Probably due to inbreeding.
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on, which also explains Tsar Nicholas's son's hemophilia.
Yep. And one of them's messed up hand.
Yeah. You know it's bad when the British one is the least bad off out of all these three guys.
Wow, okay.
But yeah, one of the reasons why the Tsar was so receptive to Rasputin's machinations, as it were, drugs.
Yep. Drugs.
Like seriously, in real life, they got high together a lot and just. Well, they got high a lot together.
I can imagine.
Anyway, so one reason why he was so receptive to his influence is because, well, Rasputin claimed to be a magician. He could heal people, and he was able to make the Tsar's son's hemophilia better. Now, how did he do this? Could it be because of some magical forces that he had inside him? No, he just took away the kid's medicine that was causing his blood to thin.
Smart move.
Yeah. Surprisingly or not, medical knowledge was not that great back then. But I guess Rasputin was a little bit ahead of his time.
Maybe.
For a crazy, sex-crazed maniac who probably also built up an immunity to cyanide in real life, as he did in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you never know when you're going to need an immunity to cyanide.
Which, this might have helped him out when his actual assassination attempt came up. There's these Russian nobility who tried to poison him with cyanide in cakes. Now, one explanation is that the cyanide evaporated from the cakes as they were baking, but also, I would not put it past Rasputin to build up an immunity to cyanide. That just seems like something he would do.
Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure.
But and it's been said that it took like a whole bunch of shootings, stabbings to kill Rasputin. Not so much actually. They just shot him in the head and he went down.
Yeah, shot to the head usually does that.
Yeah, usually. Then they chopped his wiener off, rolled him up in a carpet, and threw him in the river.
Seems excessive.
A little bit, but they gotta have to get your job done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At one point, I thought that this guy that they had playing Vladimir Lenin kind of reminded me of Dwight Schrute from The Office. I looked it up, and it turns out he's the exact same guy who I said had Dwight Schrute energy in Inglourious Bastards. So that's kind of funny.
That is funny. It's the same character you think. I don't really see it, but that's just me.
I don't know. Maybe it's his eyes.
Maybe. I have no idea.
And we also get Aaron Taylor Johnson in a sort of a bit role. He's a soldier that Conrad switches places with so he can actually go to war. And he becomes the very first Lancelot in the Kingsman.
Yes, he does.
Now,
What'd you do?
don't worry about it. Now, give me your general thoughts on this movie.
It's all right. It's definitely my least favorite of the three movies.
Now that I've seen it again, it's mine also. I feel like there's a lot of stupid stuff going on in this movie.
Like what?
Well, it makes sense for his character and all that, but it was a pretty bad idea for Conrad to just switch places with this guy without any sort of Well, first of all, any sort of attempt to fake a Scottish accent. He's with the Scottish unit. Why would he just go in using his fake British accent?
Yeah, seems weird.
And he uses the Scottish guy's name. While why would you do that? This you're in his unit. You would figure that you would be around people who would actually know who Lance Corporal Reed is. So why would you want to risk that at all?
Yeah, he did a lot of stupid stuff that, did not end up well for him.
Also, so he goes into No Man's Land on a mission to get some intel after this fight with some German soldiers. He ends up the last one on his side, and he ends up in a shell crater with the spy who got the stuff for them. Okay, fine. You would think that as soon as the flares die down and everything calms down on both sides of the trenches or on both sides of No Man's Land, you would think they would leg it back to the Scottish side of the trench. No, they wait until day when everyone can see them, meaning their side and the Germans, so that they can shoot at them, which leads to the informant getting killed by artillery, which means he can't vouch for Conrad when he's accused of being a German spy, which gets him shot in the face.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of stupid decisions were being made. Or, I mean, I know I'm not one to talk because, I'm just sitting here watching, but yeah, you think it would seem very, very suspicious if you can't have a real Scottish accent and you're going by a different name.
I don't know. He should have given his real name from the start at when he was asked for it. So I don't know. Maybe he was just thinking, I gotta maintain the illusion. But like, you don't really. You're about to give yourself away, and like 10 seconds later anyway. So why not just do that from the start?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Then there's also the Duke's overprotectiveness. Now, it's understandable that he would, want to do that since he made a promise to his wife, and well, it's his son. But also, I feel like using his influence to try to get him to stay is only going to push him away even more.
Yep, classic parenting thing. If you're too overprotective and too, and you don't let him do anything, he's gonna find a way to do it.
Yeah, most cases when parents are being overprotective or overbearing of their children, it just leads to them, drinking, talking to bad people on the internet, stuff like that. Here, the consequences are a bit more dire. It leads to his son actually dying. So, but then again, hindsight is 20/20. He probably couldn't have known that was going to happen.
Yeah, true.
Now, it's interesting to see some things from the original Kingsman that sort of get their origin in this movie. For example, the Duke says to his son that they're Oxfords, not rogues.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Of course, leading to Oxford, not brogue.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And at one point, the Duke gives himself he puts knives in his shoes so that he can climb up the ice of the bad guy's hideout, and it looks like the shoe knives that we saw in the last two Kingsman movies.
Guess he thought those were a good idea to keep around. Maybe.
And at points we see different parts of the Kingsman tailors that have a different purpose in the future, that being the changing rooms that have weapons and stuff in them, and the meeting room where all the Kingsmen actually meet.
That is what a meeting room is for, yes.
Yes, typically. So it's interesting to see the origins of all these things, and honestly, I feel like this movie didn't. I don't think it. I don't think it winked at the audience too hard when it comes to call forwards in regards to the other Kingsman movies. I feel like what they had in it was natural enough to slip in, and on my first watch of this movie, I don't think I noticed the the shoe knives. It just didn't occur to me at the time.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. It's like, yeah, everything they included that is a reference to the Kingsman. It's not like too much of a, hey, see what we did there? It does come naturally.
Although I said that hopefully we get more movies in this universe. Evidently that movie from earlier this year, Argyle, is connected in some way to the Kingsman movies. I don't know how because I didn't see it along with a lot of other people.
Yeah, I did not see it either.
But it has the same director, so there's that.
I don't know, man.
Okay, so would you like to know some trivia about this movie?
Sure.
Let's see. Okay, so evidently Nicolas Cage, Brad Pitt, and Rachel Weisz were all considered for roles in the movie.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you who they could have been, but
Yeah, man, I don't know.
Now, this movie was actually completed in mid-2019, but was released 2 years and a month after its initial release date, mostly due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, okay.
But also because of that, this movie pretty much bombed at the box office. It made around $125 million on a $100 million budget, which is not that good.
No, not that good at all.
So that may hinder any possible sequels in the future. But evidently, they can't start filming another Kingsman movie with Taron Egerton until at least early 2025 because he's a busy guy.
Yeah. Why specifically 2025?
Because that's when he becomes available.
Oh, you know this?
Yeah, I looked it up.
Okay.
Did my research, Bubba.
Okay. I did not do any research.
It's okay. You're the eye candy. Even though this is audio.
Yeah. It's a good thing I can't be seen right now.
You're the ear candy.
Yeah, because I sound so beautiful.
Well, you do.
Thanks. I'm on the verge of sickness. I can feel it.
You're not on the verge. You are sick.
Yeah. I'm like almost falling asleep. Trying to stay awake. But anyways.
Oh, also there's one more thing in this movie that's just really freaking weird. So, this movie is technically a Marvel movie. It's not like, your Captain Americas or your Spider-Mans or, your Moon Knights, This is more of your Men in Black Marvel,
I did not know Men in Black was associated with Marvel.
Yeah, they're owned by it.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like with DC, they own Vertigo, which has like Sandman, Lucifer, Hellblazer, stuff like that.
Okay.
I'm getting off topic. Point is, this is technically a Marvel movie. Now the Kingsman comic didn't really go very far. It wasn't really a long runner thing, But anyways, so this movie has a mid-credit scene, like most Marvel movies do these days. And I've seen like memes and stuff about like Marvel fans watching a World War I documentary and being upset that there's no mid-credit scene teasing Adolf Hitler for a World War II documentary or something like that. But this movie freaking does it. They have Adolf Hitler in a mid-credit scene teasing his involvement in World War II. What the hell? Like, I'm not mad. I'm just confused.
Man, I wonder what's going to happen in World War II.
Yeah, well,
Crazy.
I don't know, man. At one point, they zoom out, or no, they zoom in on Kaiser Wilhelm's mustache, setting up clear parallels with Hitler, having the angry German mustache man, wanting to start a war and kill millions of his countrymen by result of it. It's like, this is not subtle at all.
No.
And then there's some stuff they had about not wanting to tarnish the image of the presidency and all that. Like, that's a bit on the nose because they were filming this when Trump was president.
Yeah, they said something about how the president holds integrity.
Yeah.
Like it hasn't been like that since I don't even know.
There hasn't been much integrity in the office of the presidency since Kennedy died. Let's be honest.
Sure.
And
I don't
even
know,
then,
though.
he was cheating on his wife. So not even him either.
Well, yeah, obviously he was.
Let's say Eisenhower.
Okay. Yeah, I respect Eisenhower.
I like Ike.
Sure. Yeah.
Not to get too political.
Okay. Yeah, we're off topic. Let's get back on it.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's clearly a lot of dialogue like that is clearly a product of when it was written. In some ways, it's kind of funny. It's like, haha, oh yeah, Orange Man bad. But it's on the other hand, it's like, guys, come on. Everyone else is saying this too. Say something else, or say it better than them.
Wait, what are you talking about?
What?
What are you talking about?
Like the dialogue in this movie being able to tell when it was written.
Oh, I guess so. I don't really know. I didn't really get that.
Anyways, or maybe it wasn't a Trump thing. Maybe it was just like in general, politicians bad, which is fine. That's acceptable. That is true.
Yeah, maybe that's just how I viewed it because that's what I think.
Look, I am terminally online. I see this kind of crap from Twitter all the time. Anyways, that's not important. Twitter's not real. There are no consequences. Okay, well, that's how some people think, but it's not important.
Yeah, okay. Just get back to what you were saying.
Back to what I'm saying. I don't really have much else to say about this movie. I like it fine enough. It's not one of my favorites, but it's a perfectly fine time. A bit boring, though. Like, I don't love these characters the same way I do with the characters from the other Kingsman movies. Like, yeah, Shola was cool, but I always loved Digimon Hansu.
Yeah, I agree. These, maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I wanted to see the Kingsman characters in a Kingsman movie, but yeah, I did not feel as strongly towards these characters.
Yeah, I mean, I love Ray Fiennes. He's an excellent actor, but his character was fine, I guess. Like, there's an interesting arc he has where he has to overcome his pacifism in order to actually get the job done after he's been traumatized by his own experiences in war and how he's trying to keep his son from having those same experiences. But I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I get you.
And characters like Polly are, thankfully competent, and they're not hateable, but there's also not a whole lot of meat on her bones, as it were.
Yeah, they're very one note.
Like most of the characters who have any sort of energy to them are, well, the bad guys. You got Lieutenant Morton, who's just speaking in Scottish the whole time and yelling about how he hates England, which, fair, but we don't really get to see. Well, he's sort of a twist villain, but not in the same way that Disney has done.
Yeah.
And then Rasputin, my God, I love this guy. He's great. He's fun. He's a lot of fun. Doesn't get very many scenes, though.
No, not too many.
But you get something from him. And like I said, Conrad is not the most interesting protagonist. He is not Eggsy. His dad is not Harry. But I hate to compare them because I feel like this movie should be its own thing, but also it is fair to compare these characters to what we had before.
Yeah, I mean, they are part of the Kingsman universe.
Oh, well. Overall, I feel like this is an alright enough movie. If you liked the first two, you might like this one, unless you think the first one was the only good one, which seems to be a lot of people.
No, I like the second one.
Yeah, let's rank these. That'll be quick. Bottom for both of us is definitely The Kingsman.
Yep.
And then for me, Golden Circle goes in the middle, and the first one is the best for me.
Although I mean, it can go either way. But usually, Kingsman on the bottom, and then the first one next, and then I still have, like, I don't know, a special place for the second one, Golden Circle, in my heart. So I usually rank it on top.
That's all right. Well, if you haven't seen these, go check them out. But if you have, watch them again. They're a nice time.
Yeah, even if you've already watched them today, watch them again.
Do it.
Yeah, just do it.
You won't.
Yeah.
Chicken?
Yeah, do it. I dare you.
You chicken or something?
I don't know.
Well, we'll see you next time.
See you next time.